Got a piece of lumber that's too wide for your jointer? Stick around and I'll show you how I use my planer to do both sides, making them nice, flat, and parallel. I'm building a top for this cabinet, and I'm going to use a live edge slab that I have. The problem is these slabs are real twisted, so I need to run them through the planer, but I have to flatten one side first. It's too wide for my jointer, so I'm going to build something that I can use my planer as a jointer. So stick around and I'll show you. I just went and bought this 2 foot by 4 foot piece of melamine at Home Depot, and I just cut it down to 12 3/4. My DeWalt is a 13-inch planer, so 12 3/4 is a good size for it, and it'll fit this board. I have 3 of them perfectly. So let's get started, show you how to do this. So the first thing you need is some kind of cleat, and you want it to be fairly low. It's got to be lower than any piece you push through. So this is just slightly under a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to use these construction screws to fasten it onto the particle board. I like these because they have a real coarse thread pattern. I didn't countersink these. Should be no way your planer blades are going to get anywhere close to these. Just be careful what you use this for. As you can see, I have an issue with twists. Let me show you how I'm going to fix that. I have to shim it so it doesn't rock anymore. So I think what I'll do, I'm going to pin it on this side and then start shimming it. And you can see it's going to take quite a bit. Hot glue these shims onto the melamine board. The reason why I use hot glue is it's easy to get off this melamine. I used particle board in the past and it works, but eventually it will rip up the particle board. So everything's on here nice and solid. Shims are in there. What the planer is going to do is take this high spot out first and then slowly make it completely flat. Then I could flip this over and put it on the planer bed and run it through again, have it perfectly flat and parallel. So I know my real high spot is back here, so I have to make sure that I run it through lightly enough that I don't take too much off on that spot. It's starting to get into the lower areas, so now I'm just going to take a pencil just to make sure I get all those low spots. Be sure to keep an eye on this. You never want your work to get even anywhere close to this cleat. That would be very bad. Just continuously check your work to make sure it's not getting close to that cleat. Just got all the hot glue out. Really easy. Doesn't stick to this melamine. So now we have it perfectly flat. So now we got to make this side flat. And that I'll do by putting the flattened side onto my planer bed and run it through the planer, and we should have a nice parallel flat slab of wood. So that turned out okay. I took a lot more material off than I wanted. This turned out to be, I wanted to be 3/4 inch, but it came down to 5/8. So, but they're all nice and flat. I have another piece over there with epoxy on it, and they're going to glue up nicely for a panel, nice and level. Thanks for sticking around. That's how you flatten a slab.